Hi everyone and welcome back to SwitchUp and to the episode where we recap the highest review scores from the previous month. So these are probably the most essential games that we've reviewed over the last month.
Yeah, exactly right. So we reviewed 8 games last month. As you're watching this now, that will be January. We're going to go from the lowest score, of course, up until the highest.
Yeah.
And basically, see which game was the best on the channel for January.
Lovely. Do check out our website to see what the latest discount is. All that information will be in the description just below this video. And what were the best scores in January? Well, let's find out.
Okay, so in 8th place for the month of January then was a game called Scrap Riders. So you reviewed this one, Mark.
Yeah, Scrap Riders really did remind me of a game called Full Throttle, which I absolutely loved on the Amiga when I could get a game in between my brothers, hogging it the whole time. But it really does try and take the old school point and click formula and bring it into something which I think you'd really like, which is to make a hybrid of that with a beat 'em up.
I saw that, that's quite interesting, isn't it?
It's very cool.
Two very different genres to try and mesh together.
And I do like it when people do that.
Yeah.
I think it can really spice things up a little bit, can't it? And I don't know why people don't do it more often.
Yeah, I suppose they're worried about comfort zones and stepping out and being too niche, but I'm with you, why not try something different, you know?
Really good. So I did enjoy it, but it had a few issues, like there was a few issues. There was a big issue that you couldn't progress past a certain point.
Right, okay, that's a big issue,
Quite an issue.
Yeah.
Couldn't go through certain doors and things like that.
Right.
They have, and in their defence, they have patched it a couple of times since my review. So I saw a patch go up a couple of days ago, and I can only hope and assume that means that those issues no longer exist.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why we've mentioned it. I mean, this one, as you'll see in a minute, score-wise, obviously scored a lot lower than the rest of the month. We might have cut it out in other months just to, keep it as a nice list of good high-scoring games. But this is a good game. It just had an issue, and it has had that patch.
Exactly right. There's a few other little niggles, like some of the translation, but the overall feel of the game. If I was to pick this up on a sale, I'd be well happy.
Well happy with it. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, well, this one at that point, of course, got a SwitchUp score of 58%.
Cool. Alright, next up then we've got Mortal Shell, the Complete Edition. Now this one came out a few months ago, maybe like 6 months ago, on Game Pass on the Xbox. Now I'm a big fan of Game Pass because it's almost like a try before you buy, except it's not limited to a demo.
Yeah.
And a lot of those games then seem to come across to the Switch. This is a Souls-like experience where it has a very interesting mechanic that kind of reminds me of the meme of someone getting hit so hard that their soul leaves their body. Because literally you'll be fighting along and when your health gets to 0, you'll take a hit and that's literally what happens. You get ripped out of that body.
Right.
You can see it in its position like, oh, looking all sad. And you have to run back to it and try and get back in there. It's got 4 classes, which I like. So it's not you creating your class like you would with Dark Souls.
Okay, right.
It's very much like these 4 specific classes that have their own abilities and things. And you kind of decide which one do I want to use, which suits my play style.
Right.
Really enjoyed this. Visually, it's okay on Switch. I mean, especially after coming from Xbox to this, it does looks a little janky at times.
Yeah, fair enough.
And they definitely need to do a bit of patchwork. But it's still, I think it scored a very worthy 75%.
It did indeed, yeah. Good stuff. Okay, in 6th place then, we had Vengeful Guardian Moonrider, which is an action game, pixel sprites used, pixel art used. Very much a love letter to games of the past, like the 1990s, the 16-bit era, I would say, most specifically. It definitely has a feel of something like Hagane on the Super Nintendo, Shinobi 3 on the Mega Drive, definitely as well. To a lesser extent, things like Mega Man, Strider, a little bit of Strider in there, so it's got all the classics in there. And it does it very well, to be fair. It does it very well. It's got a level select, so you don't have to kind of get stuck on a level and, get frustrated. Has a very fair checkpoint system as well. Like some games when they want to emulate what's come before, they stick so rigidly to the past, and they don't modernise things that should be modernised. And this hasn't done that. It has updated things like the checkpoint system, and all round it's a very good game. Really, very much enjoyed it. Little niggles, nothing major. The controls at times could be a bit clunky, especially when you're trying to do a running jump. The music, whilst very good, was a little too similar from stage to stage at times. Again, there are some exceptions. But overall, very much a worthy game, and it got 81%.
Lovely. I actually want to check this out. And that's one of the beauties of our different tastes. A lot of the times I see a game that Glen reviews and I'm like, normally I wouldn't play that, but now I really want to give it a go,
Exactly.
Then coming in at number 5, we've got a place for the Unbound. Now, this only just came out on the channel, I think, yesterday when we're recording this.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it. I wasn't planning on doing a full review of this one, but it did everything right. I think for a reviewer with a family, it was concise enough that I could play through it and really enjoy it. But it had something special about it, and it's difficult to put your finger on. It's nice when an indie team from a region that doesn't tend to put out games that you would see, like Indonesia, creates something special. You did the Raji game, which was an Indian release, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a good game.
And it has a certain difference to it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It has that cultural influence, doesn't it?
Exactly right. And I felt that with this one, obviously they did kind of make a few more overt references to Indonesia in the game. There was like a quiz at one point. We had to answer questions about the Indonesian independence, which I think was 1945. I think
He's done his research.
I think I could be wrong. If it's 1949, then I'm whatever. But it was really nice. I loved the storyline. I thought it was very Donnie Darko.
Right. Okay. Cool.
I do like that kind of when games make you feel a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They look all cutesy. You got all these cats running around, and then the next thing you know, it's like, have I just died?
Yeah, that's interesting because I do the upcoming, so I do see a lot of these games, if not play them, and the blurb wouldn't have led you to believe that at all. No. It was very much, a day in the life of an Indonesian child and typical life in the 90s, I think he said, if I'm right in saying that. But so to see it takes that little twirl, that's quite cool, yeah. It's
quality, and it's got an arcade, and you do a little like Street Fighter section.
Oh, nice.
It's like, booyah, yes please. But yeah, really highly recommend this. Even if you're not someone that would traditionally go for this style, again, this is why this channel probably is good, because we try and highlight those ones that wouldn't necessarily suit either or both of us.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that being said then, this got a SwitchUp score of 88%. Okay, we've got a tie now for third place. So in joint third for this month, we had Lone Ruin, which is one of those like twin stick roguelites, where you make your way through stages, taking out enemies. Has like a neon vibe to it. Yeah, stylized,
Yeah, it looks it kind of reminds me of Fury.
Yeah, that's a good comparison, actually.
Just in terms of they've taken the same colour palette and
sure,
create this one.
Absolutely.
It's a very much more concise roguelite than something like Hades. Now, Hades obviously has the backstory, and we spoke about this, has that continuity of storyline. Yeah. Lone Ruin strips all of that out. It's almost like the perfect roguelite for someone that doesn't enjoy roguelites.
Yeah, or likes an arcade experience.
Exactly right. Yeah, you just go in. And I think for some people that was a point of critique. They were saying it was too simple, it's too easy to complete. But for Asdin, who did this review for us, it just was perfect for it. He really enjoyed that, didn't he?
Yeah, he likes that pick up and play.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about, say, cutscenes, for example, in between, or story more so. Just pure action. Yeah,
and I'd say that's probably worth noting if you're going into this one looking at the score. For me personally, I prefer the story of Hades and that type of thing.
Yep.
But for him, he prefers to pick up and play. So you kind of have to decide who you are.
Yeah, just be aware of that. Exactly right. And with all that said, this got a SwitchUp score of 90%. The other game then in third place was Persona 3 Portable. So this was another one written for us by one of our writers, Holden Green, and you'll see that name again in a minute, no doubt. And he very much enjoyed this game. This is a game, of course, it's been out before on the PSP, I believe this portable version was. The Persona series is a classic, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, I say it's a classic. To me, it's brand new. I've only just started playing number 5, and I say only just I'm like 40 hours in now, and it doesn't want to end.
Not even
that's fine. It's not even close. I've literally scratched the surface. But Holden Green, I know he's played the whole series like inside and out, back to front. He was a little disappointed that they hadn't ported across the other version of Persona 3. The more fleshed out version. I know this cut certain things. But that didn't then impact the fact that he loved it, and it was relatively cheap when bought as a double pack with Persona 4. And everyone's been asking for these for so long. It would be remiss not to kind of cover them and give them the credit that they are due. They're fantastic JRPGs.
Absolutely. So of course, joint third. So this also got 90%. Okay, moving into the top 2 now then, and in second place for the month, a fairly recent review on the channel, a recent release, of course, as well. That was Fire Emblem Engage. Now, the Fire Emblem series is one that I have a history with, but it's one where I used to play the games before they were known. I had the one, I think it was Fire Emblem 2 on the Game Boy Advance. Loved that game. And if ever you'd say to someone, you've got to try the series out, they'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you had Awakening on the 3DS, really did push the game popularity-wise, and it became a game that's much more mainstream now, which is great. And to that end, obviously now we have a couple of games on the Switch, with this being the latest one.
Yeah, see, I do love a tactical RPG, but I haven't obviously played this one. I've seen our review of it, and that's kind of my take into it. But on a superficial level, I think it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it looks lovely. And what they've done is, whereas Three Houses introduced more mechanics that were maybe more akin to something like Persona, funny enough, where you had a lot of relationship building.
Yeah.
This has taken some of that back out.
Yes.
So you kind of have this strange situation where fans of Three Houses are maybe disappointed that that's been removed, but fans of the series in general that maybe weren't used to that before Three Houses are quite happy to see that taken out.
That's what I've seen in the comments.
Yeah.
You've got a real split of opinion, haven't you? You've got those that are like, oh, it's got rid of that, and then you've got those that are like, well, it didn't used to have that, and it was fine, and you know, you've got that little argument going on, which is fine. Everyone seems to like it, just to different levels.
Exactly right, and it's just worth noting, isn't it? If you know it's there or it's not there, then you can make that decision. But in terms of the combat, you know, it's that classic strategy, as you say, RPG. Yeah, I'm in the camp, to be honest, where I'm quite happy they've taken those relationship bits out. You know, I don't mind them, but I just think it affects the flow sometimes for me. You know,
it does, and if it's not done right, if it feels forced, then especially, I don't know if it's because we're grumpy old men, but it can feel a little bit like pointless.
Yeah.
If it's good, if it's done well, great. I think Persona's done well, but I don't know. I haven't played this, so I can't comment.
With all that said, this got a SwitchUp score of 92%.
Lovely.
And then in first place for the month of January then, with a very impressive score, as you'll see in a moment, we had Persona 4 Golden. So, as I said, Holden Green wrote 2 reviews for us this month, one being Persona 3, of course, and this being the other one. And this is kind of the creme de la creme, really, isn't it, of RPGs, of JRPGs.
The gold standard.
The gold standard, you could say, absolutely right. So, this one, what I love about this one is the story. It has that murder mystery element to it. So it has the classic Persona formula, but it has, for me at least, you know, a much more interesting story.
Right, okay.
In that you're kind of in this town, sleepy town, and then these murders start happening and you have to solve them. I really like that. Yeah. You know, anything like that. Has a very strong like visual novel vibe to the story while still being an RPG.
Yeah, this seems to be closer to 5 than 3, right? Especially than the portable version of 3 that we've seen. There's a lot of similarities though. Like I was reading his review and I'm like, well, okay. That's very similar to how they developed the series for 5. So there is a clear flow through them. I don't really know as much as you maybe about this one because you recorded this review up.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say is, I think where you just mentioned for 3, they obviously went with the portable version, right? And some people were disappointed that they didn't go with the fuller flesh version, if you like.
Yeah.
With 4, you had 4 on the PS2, and then you had 4 Golden, which was like the enhanced edition, if you
Bells
like.
and whistles.
Bells and whistles on the Vita, and that's the one they've gone for. So they've obviously gone for that fuller version this time round, you know. Which
makes it even more strange that they didn't do it for the other one, right?
It really does, yeah. They just went for the 2 portable ones, didn't they, basically?
Right, okay.
But it is strange, yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, I mean, Holden, I absolutely love this game. He said that, you know, all of the mechanics in terms of the RPG side of it hold up fantastically well. One thing he said about it and the series possibly in general is the dungeons aren't as, you know, involved, if you like, as in some other RPGs.
There's repetition there, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's not about puzzle solving or anything like that. So again, just be aware of that. If this is a series that you've heard of but want to know, is it for me? But in terms of the, you know, the classic RPG mechanics, it's well up there.
Sweet. What did that score?
That got a month high SwitchUp score of 94%.
Lovely job. Holden Green, that's such an epic name, isn't it? Why didn't my parents call me that? Mark. I could have gone, Holden, come here.
Texas Holden.
Like, you know, here I am, Mark.
It does, doesn't it? As soon as you say your name, you just get 3 feet taller,
exactly.
Don't you?
Holden Green.
Stars.
Teacher, can you imagine? Holden, are you here? Yes.
Do you like gunslinging?
Smoke me a kipper, miss.
Well, there we go. So that's another month of Nintendo Switch reviews on SwitchUp. Obviously, we can only rate games that we've reviewed. It goes without saying, but some people, there's always one, or you know, why is that game not in here? We didn't review it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, let us know what you think about those games. Did you pick any of them up? Would you have scored them differently? It's always interesting to know. Do whack all that down in the comment section.
Lovely. Do save yourself 5% on your Play Asia orders if you're a physical collector like he is.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
All the codes are in the description, and also we have our website where there's usually a discount active. All the information in the description as well. Alright, brilliant. So those were the most essential games for the last month. Thanks so much to our Patreons and our members and all of you that enjoy the channel. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!